what is the difference? What is pragmatic football? What is possession football?
I'd put Trent in, and I'd say...
In a pragmatic system?
In a pragmatic system, yeah, it's a bit of a curveball, but I'd say Kane.
Right.
I think he's a given. And...
I'm going to throw a curveball. I don't think he is.
Oh, we'll talk about... You don't think he is?
Who's next to him?
I think we've all got different opinions.
I'm going to say Calvert-Lewin.
I'm going to say Sterling. You're going to say Rashford.
Hello and welcome to the Tactic.talk podcast. My name's Hameem and I run a page on Instagram called tactic.talk. We've proudly amassed about 8k followers and we thought it'd be fitting to start a podcast and continue what we're doing over there. Over on the page, we do tactic-related content, analysis, breakdowns on matches and other series and whatnot. And we thought, it's a decent idea to just make it into a video form, make it into a podcast form, and continue talking about the shit that we're talking about over there. Today I'm joined with my mates Jack and Luke, and we're just introducing the podcast to start with. So we know that none of you know who we are, so we're sort of playing with that. You don't know who we support, you don't know our opinions and our agendas on football. So for the first podcast, we thought it'd be a decent idea for you guys to actually listen to what we have to say about this topic that we're talking about today. And then from that, sort of make an assumption and make a guess on who we support and what our agendas and our opinions are. And the next episode we'll probably reveal that, because we will move on to club football. So that brings us on to what we are talking about today, is international football. The reason we chose international football is because it's the most topical thing that there is right now. Everyone on Sky Sports and BT just doesn't stop talking about international football.
Nope.
So mainly we're moving on to like what's happening in the Euros and the World Cup in a year's time. And obviously it's knockout football related. And the big conversation that's happening in social media and in like actual media is what's best suited for knockout football, because we're going into two big knockout tournaments, and teams play usually a brand of possession football or pragmatic football. And I just wanted to start by saying, like, what is the difference? What is pragmatic football? What is possession football?
I'd say pragmatic football is focusing more on the unit of a team. So how a team's motivated, how a team, the amount of running a team does, the amount of effort they put into games. That's what it's more reliant on. But I'd say possession-based is control through having the ball.
Yeah, more principles and stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more like patterns of play rather than just focusing on actually in like a team unit defending. And I feel like certain teams like Greece in 2004 is probably one of the best examples in recent years of a team that's been pragmatic in their approach. In the quarters, the semis and the final, they won 1-0 in each of them.
So would you say Greece is the perfect example in the international sense of pragmatic football being successful?
I mean, pragmatic football is at its best, I think, when a team has control on a game when they don't even have the ball. So, they're never going to concede, but they don't necessarily have all the possession. And I feel like Greece in that Euros were a really good example of that.
Is there a difference then between defensive football and pragmatic football? Is it two different things? Because what's your opinion on that? Would you say there's a difference?
I'd say pragmatic football is more about control without the ball, yeah. So what I was just saying. But defensive is where, you can be defensive and...
So you're on about, like, say, the lower, like Burnley.
Burnley are a defensive team.
Just everyone sit behind the ball.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have control over the matches. Even though they try to have control over the matches, they're not pragmatic, they're just defensive.
So then you're saying, like, pragmatic's like a Jose Mourinho, drill defensive style.
Exactly, like a defence then a counter.
Yeah.
It's like it's a defence and attack as a unit to get a result.
Whole system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about Jose Mourinho football as well is everyone sort of says, it's anti-football, which is what people said about Greece as well. But everyone says that it's just a low block.
Yeah.
And, the successful Mourinho sides, you'd probably say his Inter, his Chelsea's. They're far from just a low-block team. Like,
they're good to watch. This is the thing that annoys me as well. You have a defensive team who's pragmatic and they attack well. They're concise in their attacks. People say it's negative football because it's boring. It just
winning
isn't.
football.
It's winning
Like,
football.
a true football fan watches it and goes, like, wow. Doesn't matter how you win. You've just won the game, and it was amazing to watch.
And would you say, obviously you see the possession stats with pragmatic football, it's usually towards the side of the other team. But at the same time, you know, pragmatic football, you see Jose Mourinho teams sit in a low block for about 20 minutes of the match. You see them sit in a mid block, a high block, sometimes even press for certain. Would you say it's mostly about game management with pragmatic football?
Yeah, and I think as well, a common myth, as well, with pragmatic type football is, like you said there, teams have more possession, so they have more control in the game. I don't think so. I think it's someone who's pragmatic, and if they have less possession in a game, it's about where the ball is on the pitch. That's how they control it.
Yeah.
For a team like Jose Mourinho, you're not going to break our line. You can come wherever you want near us, but you're not going to get there. And I think that's the whole, especially if you look at performances, say, for example, when it was the Gerrard slip, for example.
Or like the
Liverpool.
the Camp Nou one.
Yeah. Inter Milan. And if it's like, for example, you're trying to use everything. You're a full throttle attack inside. You're not getting anywhere. And you get punished.
Definitely.
That's still control.
So having said that, we've defined what pragmatic football is, and I think it's fairly self-explanatory what possession-based football is.
Yeah.
Obviously, Pep Guardiola's revolutionised that from total football of Rinus Michels and Johan Cruyff. What would you say is best for knockout football? We are talking about international football, but in general, just knockout football where the stakes are high. Do you think that possession-based football is better than pragmatic football or vice versa?
Dependent, in my opinion.
And why would you say that?
A group of players, manager. It is because it's easy to say one's more than the other, but I think you see success on both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
So it's just about who's situated where and when, I think, personally.
Who would you say is a good example of like a possession-based team that's done well in knockout football?
Barcelona,
Spain.
Like in
Man City.
Euros 2010, 2012, World Cup 2010, that team.
But why is that? Why have they done well in... If you think about it, is it harder to coach possession football than it is with pragmatic football? Because...
I think there's definite structures to some forms of pragmatic that I think it will be extremely hard, because it's about in a pragmatic system you've got to have resilience, and you've got to be always switched on.
Yeah, concentration.
So concentration levels have got to be extremely high, and you've got to be very good at what you do.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably, because if you look, for example, when we talk about Spain, if you look at their team, like the 08, 10, 12, well, of course they're going to play possession football. Look at the players they had.
Yeah.
And it's like Barcelona in their prime years of the past 20 in the thousands. Well, are they really that hard to coach in that system when they built triangles and stuff like that? I think they're used to it. Whereas
so do you know how you just said there with Spain? I think they had 8 Barcelona players in the starting lineup. In that sense, it was very easy to transfer their play style over to Spain. I mean, Madrid play a Spanish brand of football, you'd say, like a possession-based brand of football. And it's mostly Madrid and Barca players. So it sort of best suited them to take possession-based football possession-based football that's successful at club level, and take it into an international tournament and be successful. When you look at an English team, do you think that's not the case? Because everyone in England comes from different clubs. Like there's always been that historically. You get a few good players from Man United, a few good players from Liverpool. Do you think it's difficult to coach a style and an identity in an England team, or in general, like a team that doesn't have a national team based from clubs, 2 clubs, for example?
Well, I think in the possession style side of things, I think with the Spain team you were talking about, who dominated international football for about 4 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think they had a structure and a style of playing that lasted 4 years. And for that Greece team, they had a manager who brought in a style of football and a structure, and all the Greece players knew they were going to have to fit into this style. So I think it doesn't necessarily matter whether you play this pragmatic style, this possession style. It's just whether you have a base. And I think in the English game, with loads of players coming from loads of different clubs and playing for loads of different styles of football, I feel like it's harder to build that structure in the international setup, because the manager, Gareth Southgate, won't know where these players best fit, because there's such a contrast in the way they play at club level. Yeah. I feel like he's sort of caught in the middle of deciding what style to play. And so I feel like in this Euros, we might actually see him pick a style and maybe run with it for a few years.
Do you think he'll have the time, though? Because a lot of the time you build a style and an identity of football over a sustained period of time. I mean, you see Vicente Del Bosque, I think he had from 2006 perhaps, or it was 2008, where he was allowed to build on a style. Joachim Low at Germany, they're a team that is, you wouldn't say possession-based, but closer to the possession side than... So do you think that it's possible to build an identity on limited time?
I don't think it's possible to build it can be possible to build an identity, but of that identity that Gareth Southgate's going to go for, I think we're all kind of have clouded judgments. Right. Because I think what we saw in the World Cup and what we kind of expected England to run with was that it was like a 3 at the back, kind of 5 back formation, wasn't it?
Was that pragmatic or possession based? It was pragmatic.
Pragmatic.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, in my opinion anyway, it wasn't possession based at all, was it? But it's, I think that was something that I think we thought he was going to buy into. And like with Kyle Walker, right centre back, Kieran Trippier get more license to go forward. And I think that was what we expected to see. But I think it's changed now
because
of the pool of players too.
Definitely.
And I think it's completely switched, because now, at that point when England were playing, you could already put the starting 11 out, couldn't you? It wasn't really a choice back then for the World Cup. We already knew it was going to be. I think everybody's still quite clouded with that. So if he can build an identity in a time period, it's impossible to do it until the Euros. I mean, how many have they got? They've got 2 warm-up games.
Yeah.
And then they're straight in.
I think that's where everyone's sort of, the controversy comes in. Like you said, the pool of players has changed. You got Mason Mount, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, who are all these technically gifted players. It's sort of like giving a stress on Southgate, or like you have the players to play a possession-based style of football. But in reality, it should be what's going to be more effective. Mm-hmm. And do you think, we will move on to England now, do you think England should stick with a pragmatic approach, or do you think they have the pool of players to move to a possession-based approach?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if we have the pool of players to move to possession, because I've not seen it like at the highest level for England yet. I've not seen it in a major tournament. I think the last time we saw it, they were playing a pragmatic style, and this pool of players wasn't as rich. Like, we didn't have Jack Grealish at the time, who, let's face it, he's a great player. He'd get into the England team if you could actually fit him in.
Yeah.
But so I feel like this tournament will be an eye opener for England. I think we'll finally see whether they can, and if not, we'll fall back onto the pragmatic style that we know we can actually do all right with.
So do you expect us to play a possession-based style?
I expect us to try it
and fall flat on our face.
Right. And then goes back to the pragmatic style that we did okay with at the World Cup.
He's almost spoilt for choice, Gareth Southgate, isn't he? Like, he's got so many different options. Like, I think he's got a pool of midfielders now where he's got, so I wouldn't really class some of these as midfielders, but I think most people would. You have your Mason Mounts, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips. They've kind of been the 5 that you expect to play.
Yeah.
And with them sort of players, you think, well, you wouldn't want to play a defensive style, would you?
Yeah. Even Phillips, he's a Bielsa player. Like,
exactly. I mean, look the way he plays. And then you have that system of players. You don't think he's going to go with a 3 back there, is he?
Yeah.
5 back. He's going to go with a possession-based style. He's almost spot for choice as well with the defenders he has on offer. if he wants to go in a defensive system, Kyle Walker, Luke Shaw.
Yeah.
Or if he wants to go attacking, Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Ben Chilwell.
So having said that, Jack says that you might expect us to go with a possession-based system, and you're saying we're spoilt for choice, we could go for either. Mm-hmm. What's the right decision to make? Because I'm looking at the previous Euros winners and the World Cup winners. You look at the Euros, Portugal 2016. Yeah, it was 2016.
Yeah.
Would you say that they played a pragmatic style? I would say.
I'd say it was more pragmatic.
And then you look at Spain. Obviously, Spain is the possession style team that we alluded to. Then you've got Greece in 2004. Aim Jacquet's France in 2000. These are all fairly a mixed group of whether they're pragmatic or possession-based. So it makes it hard to think which one to choose.
Yeah. I mean, I think it shows that you can do both. It's just you have to have that foundation. You know, I keep going back to this Greece side, but what's his name, the manager?
Otto Rehhagel.
Otto Rehhagel, yeah. I mean, he was a defender in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
And he was described as the king. Like, he was the guy that basically just commanded that team, so he was perfect for a pragmatic style.
Right.
And I feel like he knew that how to actually play the pragmatic way. It's just whether Southgate can sort of mirror that. I don't know if he can, because
you need a personality.
Yeah, you need a motivator. You need someone who's actually going to put 11 men out and they're all going to run for him.
Yeah, you look at the most successful pragmatic managers, Jose Mourinho. Mm-hmm. Everyone who's played under him says, he brings a siege mentality of it's us against them.
Yeah, he's a great man manager.
Well, you say that.
For certain
man
individuals.
motivator.
Yeah. Well, especially in like, everyone says modern day football's changed and like the players have gone soft.
Yeah.
First of all, do you agree with that? Do you think it's harder to play pragmatic football because man motivating is harder? Do you think that's a factor?
Well, he said it similar, didn't he? He said in a quote very recently, he said at 23 years old I had Frank Lampard, who was a man. Now you get 23-year-old who's a boy.
Yeah.
So I think that for the more experienced players, I don't think that's a problem, but maybe for the young players coming through, because I think if you look at academies, especially like Southampton, Man City, they're brought through playing a specific way.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably the best. They're two of the best footballing academies that produce bundles of players. So when you get them sort of players, I think it is harder to set up a more of a pragmatic system because they're not really bought into it, are they? You don't really get the typical player.
The way they think.
I think as well, you start to look at the way players have evolved when you look at the young players coming through.
Yeah.
Like if you look at English centre-backs, are any of them really built to play pragmatic style?
A lot of them, like Stones, Maguire. You've got
Ezri Konsa.
They're better on the ball than they are defenders.
Yeah.
I mean, you call Maguire slabhead, but he's not exactly a warrior, is he?
Yeah,
No.
Exactly.
Well, Maguire, if you think about Maguire, what would you say his best quality is? Probably driving out with the ball at his feet.
And he's 6'5".
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and John Stones has probably been the best English defender this season so far.
Yeah.
Well, based on form.
I mean, you see the mistake he made. I forgot who it was against in the last international break when Nick Pope passed it out to him. Mm-hmm. You think, like, if that was him playing for Man City, like, would that mistake even happen? Like, the drilling of where the players are supposed to be as soon as John Stones gets the ball. Mm-hmm. At Man City, the drilling is he'll have a passing triangle straight away. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to say, he should be excused for the mistake he made, but it just shows that England, in my opinion, aren't ready to play that style of football.
No, I agree.
And you said that you expect us to. Do you want us to? Like, do you think that's the way Southgate should take? Do you think Southgate's the man to take us down that direction?
I personally don't, and I feel like the attention he's getting because of the way he's treated Jack Grealish and other individuals, I feel like he's sort of going to give in to the pressure of having to play that possession style because everyone's saying, you've got this quality of players, you've got this massive pool, like you should be playing this way. You should be going for this attacking style. You should be controlling games. I feel like he's sort of saying, okay, he's going to say, okay, go on then. Like we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And then when it fails, because I don't think that's necessarily down to him, but it might be down to him. We'll see. I feel like he'll sort of say, well, I told you so. And he'll sort of opt
will he
back
have
to
the
the
time
pragmatic side.
to change it?
To be honest, I don't really want to give him the time, if I'm completely honest. I feel like he's not really proven to me that he's the right man for the job to deal with this pool. I feel like he does suit the pragmatic style, which is why we brought him in at the time we did, because we were going into the World Cup and we were like, okay, let's try and get something. Because the pool of players we had then was good, but it wasn't as good as we have now. I feel like it's almost time for something new.
Do you think, as well, with the limited time you have with an international team, it's almost impossible to
I think it's about any team, though. Like, any team
club football as well.
Yeah, club football has pressure, the same pressures on it. So,
but in terms of time, it's almost a part-time job playing for your international team. So just in not even in a football sense, if you go to a job part-time on the weekends versus a job full-time like throughout the week, you can have a better understanding of what to do at the job that you have. That's why
I think a lot of international teams have almost mirrored like the top team in that country.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in the past. Like, I think we've spoken before about the Hungary side in the 50s.
Yeah.
Who you were saying their first team, the team that finished first in the league, was pretty much the same team that they fielded.
The Hungary national team, wasn't it?
Basically the international side. So they've got those patterns of play. They've got this like the understanding they need to play with each other.
Yeah.
So it's almost cheating.
Yeah.
And that's why I think
that's
it's
just
slightly unfair.
Yeah.
For managers like Southgate, because he hasn't got the time necessarily to build what he wants. It's just
whereas Vicente Del Bosque and Joachim Low, they sort of already got a head start because
they've been trusted.
Half of their players play for Bayern, Real Madrid, and Barcelona.
I think as well with England, when it comes to the pragmatic possession debate, I think the worrying thing is you'll see loads of both. Because I think when you look at, say, who England are going to play in the group,
we've got it down here.
So Scotland, pragmatic. England aren't going to match them. They'll try and play possession football. They'll play the best attackers, and then Czech Republic, they'll probably try and do possession against Croatia. Pragmatic system will be brought back in. I personally would bet on that anyway. And that's probably a good thing to show versatility within the squad.
Is it possible, though?
That's the problem. That's the problem. Too much shifting throughout things could affect it too much. You never know.
Having said all this, England are going into the Euro 2021 tournament and the World Cup tournament in 2022 without an identity. I personally think pragmatic football is the way to go. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Would you say the same? Or
I'd rather they went possession, but to win, it's got to be pragmatic for me.
So saying that, I think it'd be a good idea to perhaps make 2 11s of pragmatic football England side versus possession football England side, and just go through the reasonings behind the players, and then we can look at the teams and we can think, which one's better, which one's best for the next 2 years. So we'll give it a think.
Right, okay. So what should we do first? Possession or pragmatic? Should we go with what we believe would be able to do best performing, i.e. win the Euros?
So are we all agreed that
pragmatic
is the way for best performing?
For winning.
Yeah.
For actually the style of football we want to watch.
So having said that,
possession.
Who's your goalkeeper?
Formation.
Oh, formation first, yeah.
What are we saying? Are we saying
possession?
Pragmatic we're going.
5-3-2. Use the fullbacks to our advantage.
That is pragmatic.
I'm going to say 5-3-2 and then throw a little curveball. Well, I'm going to jump straight into a position just to ask your guys' opinions on it. Kyle Walker, right centre-back, and then having another right wing-back beside him, that means that the 5-3-2 can turn into a 4-4-2 pretty quick.
Yeah, and I also think that I think we'll probably agree on this. Head into the Euros, we're going to choose Harry Maguire and John Stones.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and if we're going with a 3-back, I think we'd all agree that you're going to have Harry Maguire, who's probably going to be middle.
Yeah.
John Stones, left centre-half. You want the pace.
Yeah.
If Kyle Walker, the best recovery pace, probably, out of any full-back in the world.
Agreed, yeah.
Because that's basically his game when defending. Recovery pace. He's slightly rash in one-on-one situations. We know how he works. So I'd say 5-3-2 personally, and like you said there, Kyle Walker right centre back.
Because it's weird, because if you go with a possession-based team, you probably say Stones and Maguire, and then that's it. That's the two centre backs. So adding Kyle Walker suddenly changes the dynamic of that defence. Curveball. We've not even said the goalkeeper yet, but curveball. Wan-Bissaka. Like, I know Southgate don't fancy him, but
In a 5-back.
where Kyle Walker is, or where the right wing back.
I would, in a 5-back, I wouldn't play him as the right wing back.
I don't think he can play the right wing back.
And it just becomes too negative then.
Yeah.
Because he's out of the pool of English right backs, he's probably the worst going forward.
Agreed.
So, but he's probably the best defensively. So
You say defensively, I think
one-on-one situations, tackling, confrontation, defending, confrontational defending.
Yeah.
But
Positionally,
not
I don't think he is.
positionally awareness now.
Agreed. So do you think like he's not in this England squad?
I don't think he personally goes, and he's not fancied by Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
He clearly doesn't have any want to play him, does he?
Yeah.
Well, we know he has agendas anyway, Gareth Southgate.
So goalkeeper for pragmatic football.
Yeah,
Nick Pope.
Nick Pope. I think he's the best English goalkeeper.
Jordan Pickford's. I know our opinions on Jordan Pickford.
I mean, he will probably be number one,
Yeah.
which is the sad thing because I think he's the most rash, most mistakes in him.
Yeah.
But he's a good shot stopper and he can leather a ball, but he's the one who's going to make the most mistakes out of all three.
I think he's way too cocky for his own good as well. Like, I think he thinks he's a lot better than he actually is.
Yeah.
So
Throws tantrums as well.
Yeah. So for pragmatic football, you need someone that's concentrated.
I think Nick Pope's the best shot stopper
Yeah.
out of them all. And I think, is he the biggest? I think he's about 6'5", isn't he?
He's got to be.
He's massive. Sort of 6'6". And personally, I think he's probably most commanding. But when it comes to playing pragmatic systems, he knows more than anybody else.
Yeah.
Probably.
Oh yeah, Sean Dyche's better.
Yeah, so I think that he's, in my opinion anyway, I'm not so sure about yours, but I would put in that Nick Pope for me.
Right. So then the wing backs come into play. Who do you choose?
I'd put Trent in, and I'd say
In a pragmatic system.
in a pragmatic system, it's a bit of a curveball, but I'd say it works because at any point you can attack in a 4-back, and he can almost become the right mid, and he can just sort of slide into place. I know it's pragmatic. I know it's not necessarily possession-based football, but when you're actually playing a pragmatic team, you want to be able to just whip the ball in and maybe just snatch a goal on a counter-attack. I feel like Trent's perfect for that.
And I think as well, what's everyone's complaint with Trent at the moment is they all think, so everybody says he's bad at defending. Well, if he has a safety buffer like Kyle Walker behind him, he's the best right back, ability-wise, in my opinion, especially going forward. I mean, is there anybody in the world in the right back position who can do what he can do? So
Probably not.
I mean, you probably would have said Joshua Kimmich last year, but he's now 6, isn't he? So, but in my opinion, I don't think that's too much of a bad shout because if you have that safety buffer for Kyle Walker, it gives Trent's license. But Trent isn't bad in the final third against his own box and he gets backed into it. He isn't great. Yeah. But when he's in that area of in between the halfway line and his box, he isn't bad.
Defensively.
Defensively, he isn't bad, and I think that's because he's got less dependent things on him there because he's covered by in the Liverpool system. He's covered by like Henderson. And the defenders, Van Dijk and Gomez, have got incredible recovery pace. He's got Fabinho as a shield. Definitely. So I feel like he can be using a pragmatic system. Whether it's the best idea, I'm unsure. But I think that he can be used with a safety buffer of that recovery pace. Kyle Walker, who's very, very in-your-face, confrontational defender. So
like you said, the recovery pace is a thing. Like usually with Liverpool, when Trent plays and when he's at his best with Van Dijk and Gomez, teams don't even try that long diagonal over Trent because it just doesn't work because they're scared Van Dijk and Gomez. Do you think with Maguire, Stones and Walker, that's enough to deter the long ball that would catch Trent out?
See, this is a difficult thing. I don't think personally Kyle Walker's that good when the ball gets played over his head.
Yeah.
Because that's been a weakness for him and he does get caught out by it. The games where he has the worst games, if that happens, if he's against a deadly winger. I mean, for example, if we look at a game where I think he made a big mistake this season was a 1-1 Liverpool-Man City. Yeah. Ball gets played to Mane and then he cuts across and...
It's rash.
But it wasn't even the penalty situation that I don't think that happened leading up to penalty. I can't fully remember now. But throughout that game, that ball over the top's always on. And whenever you watch Kyle Walker play, if a ball gets played in behind him, you're not getting it. Yeah. But if it's over the top of him, he always seems confused.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be something that teams would look to exploit, but it depends who's going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's one of them really.
Just one to look out for.
It's one to look out for, but I do think that you can play Trent in a system like that with someone like Kyle Walker there.
So you've got the protection on the right-hand side for Kyle Walker. Does that mean you can get a bit adventurous and play Bukayo Saka in left wing back, or is it between Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell for you?
I think it has to be Luke Shaw. I think he's been the best left back in the country this season. And I feel like if you leave him out, it's just a massive mistake. I feel like in a Pragmatic's team as well, he works because he's been up and down that left wing for United.
Yeah. But then
But
you got
some good balls
Chilwell.
too.
You got Chilwell who plays in a wing back system under Tuchel as well.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
It goes back to what we were saying before, like someone who understands the role. Not saying that Luke Shaw doesn't, but usually when United play three at the back, he's playing left centre back.
Just dependent on who you're playing, but I'd say for a Pragmatic system, if you're going to give leeway to someone like Trent on the other side, you probably want someone like Luke Shaw
To
balance it out.
Yeah.
So, because I'd say if you're going to compare, if you're going to build a team, and if you're going to want, if you, like Jack said, then he's the best left back in the country so far this season.
Yeah.
So I think he kind of picks himself because has anyone really beaten him this season? Has any winger attacker had a good game against him?
Not that I can think of.
Not that I can think
Players
of.
have had spells, but like
Yeah,
he's never
nothing
been dominated.
significant at all, in my opinion. I think he's been exceptional. One of probably Man United's player of the season with Bruno Fernandes. So
So we've got a back five and the goalkeeper. And we said that for a Pragmatic system to be a bit more flexible, we'd see the back the 5-3-2 turn into a 4-4-2. So what I'm guessing is we're going to have two players that can play centrally, and then another central player that can also drift into like a wide system.
Yeah,
Jack Grealish.
I think that's
it's got to
what
be.
I was-
It's got to be. Jack Grealish.
Personally, I think he's. People are going to take this the wrong way. I think he's England's most talented player. I genuinely do. Like, for broad talent, for what he's going to do,
Yeah.
he'll bring the most. That's what I mean. I don't think Harry Kane is the
Yeah.
most talented English player, in my opinion.
Right.
But for what he's going to bring to the team, his talents will be not exploit. You know what I mean? Like, he'll showcase them more than anybody else. Because let's face it, when he gets the ball,
I think
you know what's going to happen.
I think the best thing about that in a Pragmatic system is when he's one of them like sort of tactic proof players where honestly, if you just design a team around getting the ball to Jack Grealish, the spaces open up as soon as he gets the ball and starts running at players. And I think in a system where you're perhaps looking to stop and nullify the opposition, Jack Grealish is perfect if you can get him in to balance it out and give you something going forward as well. So I think based on that, for me, he's ahead of the likes of Phil Foden, who might be in that position, or Mason Mount.
Mason Mount.
Even though Mason Mount's probably the poster boy of talented player that runs back as well. Like, so are we all agreed on that, or would you
I
go with
personally
Mason Mount?
have. If we're going to choose someone like that, it has to be Jack Grealish. He just causes so many problems and creates so many things. Like the way he picks up the ball in a pocket of space, he'll dribble with it. He opens up the pockets himself, but when does he lose possession? Possession doesn't get lost because he's fouled.
Yeah.
Or he keeps the ball and he opens something up for somebody else. And I think when you get someone who makes a mazy run, he'll get set on the left side of the pitch. He'll either take it on the outside the flank or drive inwards with the ball. It can revert someone's system so much with added movement, say for someone like Raheem Sterling, who's probably got one of the best movements in the world, never mind England, because he's always on the end of things, Man City, and he is the poacher for City essentially.
Yeah.
So, well, he has been over the last few years. So I think that he has to be there because I think we'll create the most from Jack Grealish out of anybody else.
And he supplements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
He's so good on the half turn as well. He can just explode.
Yeah.
And England have some of the fastest players like around at the moment. Like we can talk about those a bit later, but I think England are suited to a counter attack in team, and he can be the one that starts that attack if he drops into midfield.
But then the question comes on who's next to him to balance that out. So we've got the back five and the goalkeeper. Jack Grealish is playing left centre mid that turned into a left mid. Is that in a 4-4-2?
yeah, if the transition changes, definitely.
So now you've got a central midfielder and a right centre mid that can also play the double pivot in a 4-4-2. Who are those players for you?
I think the right central midfielder plays as that for his club football, and he's the biggest leader in the squad. And I personally would say Jordan Henderson.
And I'm guessing I think Declan Rice is a shoe-in for like the central pivot. I think we've all agreed on that. He's had just a quick thing on him. He's had an amazing season. He plays in a sort of a double pivot with Souček as well.
And he showed his talents, especially bringing the ball forward. Surprised. I think he surprised the league.
Yeah.
All the spectators, everybody watches the Premier League has been surprised with Declan Rice. He's shown how technically gifted he actually is.
Yeah.
Because on the ball, he's shown that he's actually unreal.
Yeah.
The way he drove, was it the Arsenal game? Not so long ago, 3-3. He gets the ball in his own box. He literally runs to the opposing box and takes.
He's actually
got
pace.
Yeah,
he's actually quick.
He's really good at doing that. So I think that to have him in that, I think Declan Rice he's going to play, isn't he?
So we'll say Declan Rice. You said Henderson in right centre mid.
I personally would.
I'm going to say Calvin Phillips personally.
What, instead of who? Instead of Henderson?
Instead of Jordan Henderson in right centre mid.
Really?
I think Calvin Phillips is. I think what Luke's saying is like Jordan Henderson, the leader and like the guy that will keep you on your toes, which we've said at the start of this podcast, that you need that to play pragmatic football.
He's a winner too, and he knows what to do in them situations. He knows how to help control games.
I agree with that, but I think as an actual footballer who suits this pragmatic system the best, I just think Calvin Phillips, like playing under a Bielsa team, he's just as physical as Jordan Henderson. He covers as much ground. I don't know if that's statistically true or not, but I think he's on the same bracket in that.
They play a very high intensity football.
But exactly, and then when he picks the ball up in deeper positions, I think he offers more than Jordan Henderson because he's passing through the line. In my opinion, it's second to none. I think as well, I think the long passing of someone like Jordan Henderson is... Look, if you think, for example, if we're switching to a 4-4-2 and he gets it in the deep pivot area and Jack Grealish is in a free area to space, he's going to ping it straight to him. Jordan Henderson. Yeah, Calvin Phillips will do the exact same thing. So like, what separates the two, in your opinion?
I think Jordan Henderson is a better player, personally.
I personally think, as a footballer, Calvin Phillips is a better player. I just think Jordan Henderson brings the leadership package, which, in my opinion, fair enough. Like for pragmatic football, it probably suits. And
as well, in pragmatic football, you're not going to be scoring 4 goals and routing someone, are you? Your game management has to be tip top.
But I think, like, usually playing, I feel like we've said pragmatic about 50 times so far.
It's a topic. That's what we're going for.
So playing that style of football, you're usually coming up against a possession-based football. Mm-hmm. And possession-based football nowadays always incorporates a counter press.
Yeah.
Who's the best playing out of a counter press, out of Henderson and Phillips? For me, it has to be Calvin Phillips. I think he's better on a half turn, and I think he plays as a single pivot for Leeds in a 3-3-1-3, and I think that he has less protection in that sense. So that, therefore, in my opinion, he's more suited to play out of a counter press and probably brings more to a matchup of pragmatic football versus possession-based football, for me, at least.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think I think what Henderson's been exceptional at in the winning period of Liverpool is his game management's been that's probably been, because people think when they talk about Jordan Henderson, he doesn't score wonder goals, he doesn't have unbelievable footballing ability. But I think sometimes you don't have to be successful as a footballer. His leadership, his game management, his passing I think he's quite underrated, to be fair. I think we can cut him a few slack that he can split the line. John Henderson can do it. He can play. I mean, his diagonal balls to Liverpool are unbelievable. So, but I personally think that Henderson can do that. He can do it. But I understand what you mean when you're looking for a more half-turn type of player, play out of a press. I do, Calvin Phillips is probably better at that. But I think that one thing England lacking is true leaders. Right. And I think that's, if you look at some of the national teams, they're dotted around with leaders. And if you have someone like Henderson in there, who will, because I think he should be England captain. It shouldn't be Harry Kane, in my opinion. Because I don't think he's as good as a leader as what Jordan Henderson is. If you're gonna play for a captain, who are you choosing?
I mean, I've seen Harry Kane give it motivational
Come on, lads.
speech.
Come on, lads. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. We're gonna fucking do him. Oh, nice one, Skipper. That's got me really up for that.
So yeah, I'll give you that. Henderson, like I actually like him, and to be fair, I think I'm going to agree to disagree and say Jordan Henderson for pragmatic football because I think concentration is key for pragmatism, and I think Jordan Henderson.
And somebody's going to run himself into the floor for the 90 minutes.
Exactly. So fair enough. I'll let you have Jordan Henderson there. So we've got everyone apart from is it the front two, 5-3-2?
The two attackers. Now this is going to be hard.
Go on. Who are you saying, Jack?
Kane.
Right.
I think he's a given. And
I'm going to throw a curveball. I don't think he is.
we'll talk about. You don't think he is? We'll talk about
In a pragmatic system,
He doesn't have to be.
he doesn't have to be there, in my opinion. But carry on. I'll let you finish.
I'll say why I think he is. I'll say for Tottenham this season, he's dropped into that number 10 role, and I feel like he's so good at spraying passes. When he just drops in, he's so good on the counter attack, and I feel like if you play him alongside pace in Rashford,
Right.
so Kane and Rashford, I feel like that's
Not
electric.
Sterling.
Not Sterling.
Sterling's got the pace though.
I feel like Rashford's more explosive. I feel like he's better at using his pace.
But then you say he's spraying passes. Wouldn't you say Sterling's movement's top notch above Rashford?
Rashford's been more passive, like had better passing than he has finishing this season, in my opinion.
Exactly.
Too.
So are we lacking? Obviously, you got Kane. I'm not saying Kane's a bad player when I said that.
Kane and Calvert-Lewin.
Who would you put in instead of Kane and Rashford?
We're talking about pragmatic football, right?
Yeah.
5-3-2.
Yeah.
That changes to a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
I think Harry Kane's a decent shout. Obviously, he's fucking Harry Kane. But having said that, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he's missing bare chances recently, but
Do you know, everyone's forgotten about some players. Danny Ings.
no, let's keep
No one
it.
talks about Danny Ings.
I think Danny Ings has got more of a shout than Calvert-Lewin.
Nah.
I think he does.
Danny Ings is the better player.
Again, remember what we're on about here. We're on about pragmatism.
Yeah.
So Dominic Calvert-Lewin as a target man next to, I'd say Rashford as well on a counter attack.
Nah, because you're going to give them to feet and they're not going to use goals.
Again, I say Kane and Sterling use them on a different day for.
I just don't know how you can leave Kane out.
I know it's difficult.
What has he
but I'm
got?
just saying
20 goals and...
I'm just saying
Yeah.
what suits the system that we're going for right now, and I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin suits it better than Harry Kane.
If you're dealing with the pragmatism as well, I feel like Harry Kane's hold up play is unreal. Like it's underrated. That's how good it is.
Yeah.
And everyone knows how good it is. So I feel like you can't leave him out.
I think personally it's Harry Kane for me, but it's just the partner who is going to be the talking point. But I think with Harry Kane, I think as well when you're saying about the target man, he definitely can do it, and you can see he doesn't bully defenders, but he certainly can. Like he got Lovren substituted off in 45 minutes for bullying him on a football pitch. And you've seen what he does, the way he ducks down and backs. That's a hot topic. The way he ducks down and backs into people.
He keeps him. Yeah, I'll give you that. Also, there's more a spanner in the works in saying that is Harry Kane suited to pragmatic football more than the other players in our squad?
But then you're saying, if we're saying we've got Trent, who would you rather have? The guy who's going to head everything in Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Exactly.
So if you're crossing a ball, you'd rather Dominic Calvert-Lewin be on the end of it. He's unbelievable in the air.
In the air, yeah. But as a finisher, you'd probably want Kane.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And also, the reason we're saying a pragmatic style is because we actually want to win. Like we're picking the team that we think suits England the best, and that's probably a pragmatic side. So we want Harry Kane.
Harry Kane would probably win better in a possession based though. If you're looking at like fluid movements and stuff like that, you're not really going to get that in a pragmatic system, are you? And Kane, like I think the partnership you said with Kane and Rashford, Rashford can kind of be like the house on is for Tottenham, and run off him, and you can always find him.
Yeah.
But it's like, and I see what you mean now, the Dominic Calvert-Lewin thing for that sort of a system. It is a curveball, but I definitely think you.
I mean, I feel like we're leaving out Sterling.
I would pick Sterling.
So
I'd go Kane Sterling.
The very obvious thing is to go Kane and Sterling.
Yeah.
I'm just questioning whether that's best for this system that we're building here. And to be fair, you said we're trying to win football matches. Who do you want at the end of it?
Yeah, it just happens that I feel like this is the best approach, and it's also a pragmatic approach.
Yeah.
Like it's just coincidence.
Yeah.
I feel like Harry Kane and Rashford is like Luke said, Kane and Son.
So I'll go Harry Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Really?
I don't think that's too much of a bad shout. 'Cause I think that, like you said, you mentioned it yourself, Kane has been exceptional this season at dropping into areas.
Yeah.
And he's filling in holes. And he's essentially been a number 10.
Exactly.
It's up this season. So I definitely think that is a system we can go for. And like you say, pragmatic system. If Kane drops in, you bring someone else into the game, we spread it wide, we cross it in, Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's the nightmare system for the possession teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you look at, say, if we say we're playing Spain,
yeah,
that's probably a good system to use, in my opinion.
Oh, I'd agree. Obviously, it changes for what team you're playing, but I'd just say, like, if we were to win one match,
yeah,
and it was just against a random opponent, that's what we're basing it off. 11 opponent.
See,
11 players. You put Kane and Rashford in this.
I do know what you're saying about.
Do you know how you say you put
Henderson
Kane
now.
and Rashford in? I'd say, this system we're on about 5-3-2 that changes to a 4-4-2. Rashford would become a left striker in this position, in this formation change. And you're saying that Kane sometimes drops in. Having said all that, is Rashford best suited to play this auxiliary striker role when Kane drops in? Because his movement in terms of compared to Sterling, I don't think it's on the same level as Sterling in terms of getting on the end of things. And his ability in the air and ability as played as an out and out number 9, I don't think it's better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And then he also likes drifting wide, but we've already got Jack Grealish in there. Is he also taking up his position as well?
This is what I mean, and I think I do see what you mean about Kane and Calvert-Lewin now, and I really, because like you say, if we're dropping into a 4-4, if we're doing a switch into a 4-4-2 when attacking, if Kane drops into that area, he puts it out to Trent Alexander-Arnold or say Reece James, who are very good crossers of the ball. Who do you want in there? Rashford, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, or Hameem Sterling?
Rashford's probably at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, because he can't head, and neither can Sterling. To be honest, he's about 1-4-2.
Yeah, but Sterling has the movement to get into the box at the right times. I don't think Rashford.
Like I said, he plays like a goal poacher for City. So if the team shifts around, you've got Jack Grealish can come in field as good as anybody else. You could easily find him on the edge of on a one-touch finish at the back post or anything like that. And I think that England are built to play similar to that. And this is why I'd say Kane and Sterling. Because if Kane drops in, Sterling can peel off. His movement's brilliant. He manages to find his way out of defenders so well. And that's why he scores so many goals. And I think his best season for City, I think he was just always back post finish.
Yeah.
Back post finish.
Tap-ins. Well, that's where he came from, tap it. He doesn't do anything other than tapping.
So I think that's good. But you've really changed my head now.
Yeah.
The Calvin Phillips Henderson thing is I understand your point.
To be fair, I agree. It probably would work against some of the bigger teams.
So we've got the pragmatic system, and I think we spent quite a bit of time on that. Let's not whiz through the possession-based system.
For some of my stuff I said there.
What, for the pragmatic team?
Yeah.
No, I reckon.
what?
I reckon I'm going to get shot down for saying Harry Kane. For actually questioning Harry Kane.
I
mean, Everton fans are going to come for me as well. DCL, put some respect on DCL.
Yeah, I mean, Dominic Calvert. Look, I
think for pragmatic, I'm just aware of the time as well. I think we've got.
Doesn't matter. Go on as long as you want.
True.
It doesn't matter.
So the strike partnership. Let's finish it off. Who is it? Harry Kane. I think I'll concede on that. Yeah, fair enough. Harry Kane is the goal scorer you want.
Yeah.
Who's next to him?
I think we've all got different opinions.
I'm going to say Calvert-Lewin.
I'm going to say Sterling. You're going to say Rashford.
Right. So let us know who should be the partner for Harry Kane in a pragmatic system. And we'll move on to the possession-based system now.
Yeah, that's fun. That was good. So possession, 4-3-3.
Yeah, it has to be
4-3 with one holding.
I think
2 box.
One holding. Yeah.
Well, like a box-to-box kind of player, control-based.
I mean, every possession-based system now plays basically the same formation. It's a 4-3-3 that switches to a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
And it's the same formation because it's the one that has the most triangles. And if you actually draw out the formations on the pitch, look at a 3-4-3, look at a 4-3-3, it has the most triangles and it has the most pressing diamonds.
Yeah.
So I think
designed to give you passing options.
it's literally designed for counter-pressing, what you said just then, passing options. So I'd say
Phil Foden is a big shout.
we're just going to jump straight in, right?
If you're going to talk about possession football, I think you've got to build many principles on the best. You know how we said before, best in the country. The national team's based on the best of the country. Man City, you got to think of the City players.
Yeah.
You're going to achieve the most.
I mean, I agree with that,
Agreed.
but what we said before about how long it takes to build a pattern of play into the team, that's where
That's
I'm
a
like,
unique possession football. So take that back.
But I think, like, if that's what we're trying to go in the long run, because I think we've all agreed that possession-based football comes in the long run.
Yes. So players, it changes a lot for me when it comes to this.
So starting off with a goalkeeper, Dean Henderson is better
Physically
with his feet
and shots.
out of any of the three.
I agree.
I do agree that if you're going to go purely possession-based, you want the best with the ball at the feet, no matter who it is. So you probably have to go with Dean Henderson there in that situation.
So because
you want control in that
we going
game.
Dean Henderson?
Yeah.
Right. So 4-3-3, Dean Henderson in net. Two centre-backs, I think quite simple, what we said before.
Self-explanatory.
Maguire and Stones.
Yeah.
Maguire, Stones. Maguire left, Stones right.
Yeah.
I think we all came to a conclusion on Luke Shaw's the most well-rounded left back.
I'd put him there again because you've got to think as well, it's a 4-back. It's not 5. There's no security for anybody. So I'm going to go with, I'd say, Luke Shaw, personally.
So again, for the same reasons as last time, pretty much, I think Luke Shaw's a shooting.
Yeah.
Now, we said Walker and Trent in the same system for the pragmatic football. Who are we going for in a 4-3-3?
I'd probably say Kyle Walker.
I agree with Kyle Walker.
I'm going to say Trippier.
Say Trippier.
I'm going to say Trippier. I think he's positionally, what we said about Kyle Walker, he's got the amazing recovery pace, but positionally, I think he's better than Kyle Walker, defensive position. I think his passing is better than Kyle Walker, but obviously Kyle Walker's a physical specimen. He's an athlete and he gives you quite a bit. He is quite a bit.
Something to look at him.
But yeah, I'd say Kieran Trippier offers more with passing. He's like in between Trent.
Dead ball specialist.
He's like a shit Trent that's better at defending.
Yes.
So I think that's why I'd choose Trent.
I mean, I'm completely open to interpretation from this. So whatever you guys can settle on, I agree with both. I'll take both. Because
Not Trent though. Have you all decided?
No, not Trent.
Not Trent.
Not Trent.
In a
People aren't really happy with
possession-based team though.
No,
we are
but
going-
I think the big reason why we put him in that pragmatic system is because we played a 5-back with the intention when attacking that Trent would be the best to do so.
Yeah.
But when you're putting Trent, as we can see this season,
That's mad though. We're putting Trent in the pragmatic team, but we're not putting him in the possession-based team.
I think the reason why we're doing that is because we're thinking about the whole team as a picture, not as an individual.
Yeah.
And I think we know that when Trent's got cover and has a safety buffer, he is the best right back
Yeah.
in the country, arguably the world.
Yeah.
But when he doesn't,
He's
when he
very
doesn't,
sus.
very, very, very sus. If that's what we're going for. But when you're in that situation, do you want to put Trent in that team? Because if we lose possession,
I just
and he
don't
gets-
think the centre backs have enough recovery pace.
he
for
doesn't
Trent to
have
be
cover.
agreed.
He doesn't have defensive, physical, or he doesn't have a world class defender there.
If Van
To give
Dijk
him
was
cover.
English,
Yeah.
he'd be sorted.
He would be sorted, but
But he's not.
he's not. But he's not. Yeah. But so, nah, I don't think Trent's. I know it sounds
So-
ridiculous, but
So Jack, would you say Trippier or Walker in that case?
I'd say Walker because I'm more interested in like you said, the building of triangles, and I feel like if you play
He
Sterling
understands that. Yeah.
Sterling on the right hand side, I feel like they've already got that understanding, and I feel like it'd work. It'd work perfectly.
So again, I'll concede in that you have Walker there. I don't mind Walker there. He understands a possession-based system. Declan Rice in the single pivot, I think he provides the most balance. I'd put my answer there.
I think he can do it. Yeah, and he's proved that he's like you said, he's proved that he's
good at
on the
everything.
ball.
he's extremely well rounded.
Right.
He's not going to score you goals. I don't mean that, but
Yeah.
it's when it comes to wanting a 6, he's good at defending. He's very good positionally. He's good on the ball. He can drive out in areas when he has to. He doesn't really crack under pressure. So
It's exactly what you're looking for.
In a single
especially in a single pivot in a possession-based team, I think Declan Rice is unarguably in there.
Right. And then I've heard a lot of things that Declan Rice, Mason Mount and Phil Foden are a Brexit Xavi, Busquets and Iniesta.
Brexit.
But would you say that's the best for a possession-based system? Or do you I personally don't think there's enough balance in there, but a lot of people are saying if we're going to play possession based, let's play with 2 8s, 2 Metsalas.
I mean, they probably are the best on the ball. I mean, you could play Grealish in the midfield as well. You can do it.
You could even you could even think as well. You can think about the front three. Like for a possession based team, like players like Phil Foden could easily go into the front three.
Yeah.
So saying that, I'm just going to leave the positions open: right centre mid, left centre mid, and front three. Harry Kane is definitely the striker in the position.
So we've got that sorted. That's the 9 gone.
Yeah,
So now we just need to sort out left wing, right wing, the left side and the right side.
I'd put Sterling
on the right.
Me too.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm just not even going to explain that. Let's just
we don't need to.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to explain it, but
Go on then.
no, it's all right. No, Nah, forget it.
I want to hear it.
Nah, forget it.
I'll hear it.
All right. Yeah, he's really good on the wing.
Right. So we got right wing and the striker sorted, left wing, and then the 2 centre mids, 2 8s.
Oh, it's really hard because the pool of players, there's so much, and there's so many different alternatives and options you can go with.
Is Calvin Phillips and Jordan Henderson too defensive for a possession-based side? We're playing, let's say we've got Scotland and Czech Republic. This is the teams that we're playing the system against. Are we playing either one of Calvin Phillips?
If you're going against teams like Scotland and you're going against... So if we're going at Scotland, I'd say we take the risk.
And play...
If there isn't any
single
balance,
pivot.
single pivot, go for it.
And who's the go for it? Who is go for it?
Declan Rice.
Yeah, he's in.
He's
already there. I'm talking about the right centre mid and the left centre mid.
I think Mason Mount.
Mason Mount next to... Can you play all 3 of Mason Mount, Phil Foden and Jack Grealish in the same team?
No. Well, unless one goes into the front three.
That's what I'm saying, like, do you think
I think Foden would have to play on the left, and I wouldn't play him on the left.
Jack Grealish can play on the left?
But I wouldn't play him on the left.
I think Phil Foden on the left is a shout. I think Phil Foden, in my opinion, could make one of the squads, or should.
We've not said Jadon Sancho as well. Just throwing that out there.
Everyone's forgot about Sancho, but I mean...
I just don't think I would put him in, personally.
I think Rashford goes in mine.
So I think Mason Mount gets in. We're jumping around everywhere.
But Mason Mount, I think, personally, you want him in there.
I'll say that. In a right centre mid position, Mason Mount. Left centre mid position.
See, I call it Gareth Southgate, but it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard. But it's because like you say, it comes down to balance, don't it? Do you want to put Declan Rice with Jack Grealish and Mason Mount?
Yeah.
Or do you want to put him with Mason Mount, Phil Foden? Do you want to put him with Mason Mount, John Henderson? No, not really, because that's negative then.
I think that there's no world where anyone plays Declan Rice and then one of the attacking like midfielders like Mason Mount. I don't think a midfield 3 of Declan Rice, Phil Foden and Mason Mount exists. I don't think it happens. But in this hypothetical like possession-based team,
it's just the second midfield. It's the third. It's because I personally would go for the 2 of Rice and Mount to play together in there. But it's like, who do you put in there with them?
I'm just gonna try wrap this up quickly. I'm gonna say, for me, if we want to go possession-based, Harry Kane's already going to drop in to overload the midfield at times. So we got possession, we got a diamond in midfield now. I want Phil Foden on the left of that, and I think that will work. And now you've got a passing diamond in the middle. Do you want a Jack Grealish on the left? Probably not. You want someone that makes an inverted diagonal run. I would say Marcus Rashford for a possession-based side.
I'd agree.
So midfield 3 we're going for then is Rice, Foden, Mount, Kane, Rashford, Sterling.
That's how I'd say.
I think as well. I think I'll be honest and throw something out there with this. I think coming off the left, out of everybody in the England squad, the most deadly and the one you don't want running at you is Marcus Rashford.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Because I think before we were on about playing him in that system where he's going to be a striker, he just doesn't seem effective as a striker, Marcus Rashford. Yeah. When he plays the left wing, I think it's very hard to find, like, he can oppose any left wing in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Ability-wise, he's that good. I think he's absolutely deadly.
I think right-backs-wise, I think right-backs would probably choose to, like, they wouldn't want to come up against him the most. He's got everything.
He's got pace. He's got quick feet.
Yeah.
And he's probably got the most. Like when I use the word deadly, it's that shot.
Yeah, the dipper.
It's straight as an arrow.
Yeah.
And it's quick as fuck. Yeah. So I think so. He's for me in that sort of a system because you've got Sterling who's the finishing piece, but if you want someone to do something on their own, he's going to get it and running out at fullback. Yeah. You want Marcus Rashford there because he's not going to think about passing it off. He's got one thing in his mind and let's shoot.
Right. Well, I think unless you want to disagree anymore.
Who do you think's the questionable choices in both teams?
I
think the first one everyone's going to get shooting us down on Trent. People, I don't know. People.
I think people will look at us and think, oh, they're playing Trent in a pragmatic team and not in a possession team, and they'll be like, what the fuck's going on there?
Yeah.
But I think we've fucking explained it for a long time now. I think I'm happy with that with our team.
I'm happy with them.
I'm happy with the team.
I feel like that midfield in the last one we just talked about is a bit questionable. Like you could rotate a few players, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. So
yeah, I think as well when you're playing teams like Scotland, who are going to be extremely pragmatic. If you've got the ball, you want someone like Phil Foden on it.
You could play anyone against Scotland, anyway.
Hey,
we're going to get slapped.
I mean, right. I regret that when we lose.
Yeah,
like 5.
Scott McTominay scores a screamer.
So I think that's us wrapped up. Just before we finish, I do want to give a quick mention to mystery kits. So what this is, it's sort of like an ultimate team pack in the sense that you get sent a kit and you don't know what's in it. And then when you open it, you find out that you've got a quality kit and it's 100% authentic. And in my case, I got a Portugal kit, which is pretty...
21 winner.
Yeah, exactly. I reckon it suits well because I reckon Portugal are probably favourites for the Euros.
I think they're going to do back-to-back Euros.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah, so it's a good one to get.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Nice one, mystery football kits.
Yeah, mystery kits. And that's us wrapped up for the podcast as well. Get your comments in on who you think we support. I think it was a bit obvious at some points for some people. But give the comments in. I don't want to say don't forget to like and subscribe, but
please do.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And then hopefully you'll join us for next week's podcast as well.